Please, could you generate Bodhisattva, the loving kindness of the compassion? It is very important for us, benefit. And also in the perspective of Buddha's philosophies, of Buddha's philosophical point of view. Everything is, of course, depends the different circumstances, but entirely depends our mind or our attitudes. It's weakened to say it's our minds, to be happy or to be sorrow, or to be some sentient beings, or to be the enlightenment. And everything depends on our minds. And therefore, if we want receive some happiness or good things, and we need to take care our mind, it's very, very important. It doesn't matter you believe or not believe. It doesn't matter you are materialism or the spiritualism. And any kind of perspective, and it is very important we need to take care our mind. Because it is mind is the everything. Without mind, what is our life? Without mind, maybe there's nothing existent of the world, any kind of materials, even the included cosmos. And without mind, there's nothing existence. And happy and sorrow also received by the mind. If we are like kind of materials or like just kind of things, like a house or tree or cars, and someone's beat, someone's destroy, or someone's to make nice, it doesn't matter. It is like never they cannot receive happy and sorrow. But it's for ourselves, obviously, truthfully, we have something there is in our body. Where it is, we don't know in the which part of the body. It doesn't matter in brain or in physical heart or in the different in the stomach or lung. It doesn't matter. There is something. There is something. These things are received, the feeling or the sensation of the happy and sorrow. And obviously, and this being, or we call the being, or we call the mind, we call the spirit, or we call the brain, or we call the physical heart or heart. It doesn't matter what you call. But these things is receive kind of happiness and receive the sorrow. Also, these things can create and sorrow and the happiness. For the Buddhist perspective, all the creator of the samsara and nirvana, or happy and sorrow, good and bad things, by our mind. This receiver of our sensation, happy and sorrow. And therefore, and also generally, we say, as I need coffee, I need cosmos. Who can to say? Not by the body, not by the verb. And for example, when we died, separated our body and mind. Body and verb still there maybe, but never say I need cosmos. Even you burn, even you like kind of throw out, put into the ground, just materials, nothing. And only this consciousness of the mind And this mind is, we cannot to say is no existence. If we say ourselves not existence, but you still say I need a croissant, I think we are looks like zombies, you know. And very strange. It's very much that logically and reasonably, if we can to investigate, we have mind. And it's like in the Buddhist point of view, we call the consciousness. Consciousness is not a terminology of the mind. Because why you call the consciousness conscious? For the English perspective, it is like something inside the receiver of the sensations can conscious, you know. Can is like kind of concern to something good or bad, red, yellow, this thing. Then we call the more consciousness to it, it's like a noun. But in Tibet, we call the namshi, is consciousness. Means it's like you can to understand this aspect of the phenomena. To say this is a yellow, this is a green, and this is a round, this is like a score. This kind of like very much kind of spatial qualities it has, this mind. It's like all the aspects are the mind, it came to recognize. And therefore we call the consciousness. And also sometimes consciousness, there is a propelling consciousness, propelled consciousness. We have like, because it's like consciousness means it's like one place to go to another place. And the point of the travelers, that perspective, and then you can call to the consciousness. Because consciousness comes from past to present, from present to the going to futures. And like this consciousness is extraordinary. If we taking care, if we cherish, if we look after our own consciousness, our own minds, that is the most important. It is obviously we understood more and more. If we haven't got the mind, what is important? It's nothing. And there is like kind of valuable or important things. If, for example, as the Buddha's teaching says, if mind is happy, everything is happy, everything is alright. If mind is not happy, even we are in the God realms, you know, celestial, spatial city of the God realms, maybe we are not happy. And this material thing, outer material things, any kind of conditions never make happy our mind. If our mind is not happy, it's obvious. For example, in our Europe, someone's billionaire, millionaires, but they are still suffering. Sometimes they make suicide. And like this. But if your mind is happy, even you go to in the hell, hungry ghosts, dharmas, maybe you can't see them as the hungry ghosts or the hells. Maybe if your mind is completely happy, whatever surrounded to you or are the environment, it's become the pure land. And therefore in the philosophical term says, creator of the hell and the heavens are by the mind, it's mindset. It is looks really is like truth. And therefore we need to take care of our mind. In order to take care of the mind itself we cannot to take care. How we can to take care of it, but we need to take care of our thoughts. We need to take care of our attitude. And this one we will take is thoughts is doer of the, you know, positive and the negative. Thoughts comes from the essential mind, but negative thoughts is produced negative like samsaras. And positive thoughts occur to the essential mind, but it's create the samsara and the happiness. And therefore, I think it's very important to taking care of our thoughts. Therefore, we all the time say, please, could you taking care of your attitude? Please take care of your attitude. What kind of attitude? And like, if there is a positive attitude, be happy, to more developed. Like which kind of attitude? Positive attitude, compassion. Loving kindness. That is the most, this we can to recognize. And bad attitude, if we have, like anger, harmony, and there are like a part of the anger, disattachment, so on. If we have, immediately try to diminish, to transform into the virtues. That is not correct. This thought is the creator of the my suffering. You can, if you love yourself, if you're taking care of yourself, there's one Patrul Rinpoche's book says, surely you love yourself. If you really love yourself, you need to take care of your thoughts. This is not order, not the kind of sayings like, oh, you should do it, you shouldn't do it. This is like talking about the realities. You know, in the there it says, if your mind attitude is the positive, then your path result is the positive. If the attitude is negative, then your path and result is the negative. Then there is like some in the scripture say, one ground is truth, the essential mind. There's a true path. This means it's like true kind of movement, positive and negative. This positive and negative give to us the path, a negative path and the positive path. Then there's a true result. Obviously, we have a happy and the sorrow. This is like, of course, in the philosophical terms, we say the samsara and the nirvana. And also in the many scriptures say that samsara and nirvana is not truly existence. There's nothing substantially existence, but samsara and nirvana is existent in our minds. We can do more approach, more this kind of like saying things. And when our mind is suffering, that is the samsara. When our mind is happy, that is the nirvana. That beside there is nothing existence about the samsara and nirvana. And therefore we need to take care. And also it's like how we can do taking care. This is the thoughts, attitudes. And now when we start this kind of book, this kind of like a commentary, this kind of Pita instructions, 37 practice of the Bodhisattvas, it is the marvelous. It's not the kind of telling to order to ours, you should do like this, you shouldn't do like this. For example, like in the Buddhist perspective, there are many deities, like many gods, and they never ever say it's like kind of, you should to become the best service, you should to do something good things for those deities. Never say like this. Here is talking about you need to imitating to them. You should to become same as them. And it's like how they are like become like this noble, authentic Lord. And how we come to become like this. For example, before Buddha appeared in this world, of course, all the religious and like spiritualities and worldly completely different. Also, there are like kind of big deviations or the like divided. To say that like a sun and like a rise or line is like for the spiritual, more like superiors all the time. Someone is all the time inferiors. It's like a very low caste. You cannot to be never ever like superior. You all the time is evil, slave, or like a low caste. And in India, these systems are very, very much, very strong. And then this Buddha appeared in India, and he discovered that the nature of all the minds are completely same. It doesn't matter you are Brahmas or you doesn't matter another low casters. You have mind, the nature of the mind in the perspective. There's nothing kind of different, absolutely equanimities. And also it's like some Buddha student asked to him, I think Lord Buddha, you are maybe special, maybe you are son of the God, or maybe some special emanations, and we are never ever become like same as you. And he said that is the like really big criticism. You do not understand my teachings. Why? Because it's like the nature of the mind's perspective. We are completely same. There's no difference. It doesn't matter man or woman, doesn't matter rich or poor, it doesn't matter human or animals. All the mind. Therefore, he talking about the true nature of reality. Therefore, he's talking about true nature of the mind. And then he said, you take a responsibility yourself and you do same as what I done. And then you will become same as my level. Therefore, I'm teaching. Therefore, I discovered is all the ancient system, this kind of like ugly kind of system. Someone's all the time superiors, permanently fixated. Someone's all the time inferiors, fixated. This is like kind of wrong. And of course, all the Brahmanas in India, they want to kill them. And they say this, oh, our system is destroyed. He is like bad guys. But he's saying the truth. The realities is like this. Now here in the 37 practice, the first part of the preliminaries, begin talking about the human existence, and also the human existence built by the 5 aggregates and the 5 elements. What is the different? Only the different, because later there's a little movement is different. For example, we have different shape, different color, different, someone's very handsome, look, there are some guys. Someone's very beautiful, look, there are girls. Amazing. Someone's like very ugly, look at me. And this kind of what happened because of the movement of the element, movement of the aggregations. This is possible. For example, we can do like a kind of interruptions. To something is coming together. The nature of realities is the same, but something is make it dirty, something is like make it clean. But the reality is no problems. Toilet waters, kitchen dirty, this water we can to send someplace, collect to them to later clean up and we send back and we are drinking. It's no problems because of the sensual nature of the, like this. And therefore, the basically 5 element aggregations are the same. What is the different? Of course, the movement is there is a little bit kind of different. The sensual mind is exactly the same. Then is the attitude, the thoughts of the a little bit different. Because it's also very wonderful, absolute. Therefore, we are saying the true nature of this wonderful. Why? Because true nature of the realities, there's no fixated, no reservations. Why? Because it is not positive, it is not negative, it is not a kind of fixations. They are all the time open, tolerant. From that there is interruption, uninterruption of the movement is occurring. Positive is occurring, negative is occurring, everything is occurring. That is the marvel, this is the qualities of the true nature of the realities. And for ours, if we understand true nature of the realities, sensual this mind, then this movement is we can to change, bring into the everything is the positive things and the good source of the happiness. Therefore, I think now is the time to recognize our own mind. That is the most important. You know, for example, if we follow the step of the Buddha, he entered, Buddha's histories. When he became 32 years old, entered there, he all the time pursued about the pleasures, entertainment, completely distracted, like a kind of worldly and kind of things. He became the 32 years old. He understood the old age and the sickness and the death, something. And then he started, I need to do something urgently, quickly. It's like he brought on the ash of his full of the arm, showing to the father. And the father said very kindly, my darling, how is your holiday? How much did you eat croissants? He was unhappy to say, no, father, I couldn't eat croissants. What happened? You never taught to me those sufferings. And outside, how much people suffer, beings suffering. You look, do you understand this ash? First time you born, you wild being, one day you sick, then die, you become ash. You will soon become ash, I will become son is ash. Who can to help to? How I can help to you? You be when you become ash. What is your life? And he says, darling, don't say like this. This is the nature. This is nature. I need to do something, fathers. No, you should to enjoy it in the four palace I created for you. He said, no, Father, I don't want to enjoy this four palace. I need to do something. He replied urgently, quickly, right now. That is the point. If we like more and more to sleep and enjoy it, we play those ladies. Of course, they every day massage. Massage oil is not normal oils. Gentle, marvelous, But after the massage, it's the pain and unhappiness. But like really, it's like to taking care of self and listen, maybe a little bit urgently. We're talking about human existence, and now we obtain great opportunities. We have great achievement of this human existence. Very, very highest position. No need to more than these highest positions. And we got these high positions, we need to do something benefit for ourselves. And therefore, with the great attitude of the Bodhisattva, we need to study this. And now all the preliminary part is we done. Now we are in the main part. In the main part, there are like principally, it is like talking about the Bodhisattva. And when we want to do something to do, good things with the great attitude, which is the mind of the enlightenment. And there are many different opposites, many different challenges, the compassions. And there are many different circumstances to make the obstacle in order to generate bodhicitta. And yesterday, for example, first line in the main, the verse 10, it is talking about the bodhicittas. And saying it is like, look, in this world there are how many sentient beings. Those all the sentient beings like a kind of not existence without connected to ours. And also those sentient beings are like the same as us. And we need to think about them. And also if you think after them, that is for you is a very good thing. Because if you think other sentient beings, you will become the enlightened man. If you think only yourself, you will become the samsaric sentient beings. Look at you like these two attitudes, two path and two results are completely different. And therefore we need to concentrate to the sentient beings about the bodhicittas. We concerning the benefit for sentient beings. We have a name of the bodhicitta and the kind mind and the impartial, the concerning to the other sentient beings. And then when in order to practice that, then there are different circumstances, negative circumstances, and how we can to bring into the path, how we can to bring into the bodhicitta path. That is the most important. Then today is to bring the blame into the path.